it really did become my full-time job. Healing was my full-time job.
And intuition is it's clearly our highest guide, right? Our inner guide. Like everything we need to know is within if we know how to access it.
Yes.
How did there's so much fear that comes with a cancer diagnosis.
Yes.
That's just, based on how we're conditioned. Secondly, you lost both parents to cancer. So that just compounds your fear times 1,000, 1,000,000. So how did you navigate through the fear and really allow your intuition is there anything you can share to help people kind of hone in on their intuition? Because I know you had to navigate the pressure of your oncologist going, you need to do this now, this way, this urgency, and you go, wait a second, I need to take a breath and I need to try this. Or is there any sort of, did you learn something about your intuition that you could share that others might be able to learn?
Well, one of the things I'm just going to say right off the bat is I think it's really important to call in your angels. And I mean the angels that are on earth, your angels, because I don't believe that anyone should go to a doctor appointment alone. It's very hard to hear. It's very hard to absorb. And I learned that from my mother and my father, because if they went to a doctor appointment on their own, you miss things. So it's very important to find your advocates. And they also sort of helped me by bouncing things off. How do you feel about this? This is what was said. I just learned that everything is either fear or it's love. And so if I tried never to make a decision out of fear, it always needed to be out of love, and never made a decision because I felt stressed. If I felt stressed, and if the answer stressed me out, it was not the right answer. If I started to feel anxious, I was like, okay, no. And I didn't really want to do chemo at all. The thing that's wonderful about having an integrative person instead of just Eastern or just Western is that even though I was saying, I don't want to do chemo, and that made me anxious, I did have a wise sage with me who said, Stacy, this is a necessary thing, but I'm going to help walk you through this, and we're going to do other things to help supplement. And so that's my caveat. If I had just gone off of the anxious, I shouldn't do that, then maybe I wouldn't have had the chemo. And I think that the chemo, when I went into chemo, I really thought of it as healing medicine. I didn't think of, I think it's very important, and I know it's going to sound woo-woo, but I believe that your thoughts are super important. And feeling that go into me and knowing it was healing me, you're going to heal me, you're going to heal me, I believe helps. And sure enough, when they opened me back up after those 4 chemos with all of these other things that I had done, the doctors were, when I say they were amazed, they thought it was a miracle. Chemo does its job, but everything else I had done, they literally said to him, it's like the cancer had melted away.
Wow.
Melted away. And the only thing that was left was the one tumor in my ovary.
That little shit that started it all.
Yes. Yes. And so, I came out of that surgery so happy, and then I had to do several other chemos after that. And I will say that if you can get yourself going into this positive direction, right? Even if you're having the bad days, even if you're getting bad news, it's like all we have to do is protect this beautiful thing that we've been given, right? It is the most important thing, right? And if that becomes
For those of you listening, she's massaging her body.
I'm touching myself.
Yes, this beautiful vehicle that is the human body.
I just decided to love this love this body that I was in as much as I could, and dance as much as I could, dance it out, cry it out, feel it, feel the fear, and just become my own soldier. And that's what I did. And I think my intuition came in really strongly towards the end, because towards the end, after my 6th chemo, and chemo is really hard, and I have PTSD from it, 100%. I knew they wanted me to do one more. No, you need a 7th. And I said, no, I'm not doing, no. And I was just very definitive. Mm-hmm. No, And then they wanted me to do, and I love my doctors. Mm-hmm. Like love mm-hmm. I would marry my doctors, except for I'm married. They also wanted me to go into a trial. After you're done, now there's these trials mm-hmm. to keep it from coming back. And I just instinctively just knew, no, that's not my thing. It's just not going to be my thing.
Didn't resonate.
No more. It came in a box with it came in a bag that nobody else was allowed to touch. And it had a skull and crossbones on it. And I'm like, this isn't coming into my house. Yeah. I had to wash your hands after you touch it. I'm like, no. Yeah. No, just no. No, I did that already. Now, I'm healed in 7 or 8 months. You just told me I was a miracle.
No evidence of disease.
No evidence of disease. And I was like, now my job, and then Chilkov says, now your job is to keep it this way. Mm-hmm. If you go back to your old lifestyle, you are then inviting it back. Mm-hmm. And that's a big lesson, because so many people just go back. Mm-hmm. They go back to the stress, which I have a little bit. We're all human, yes. right? They go back to the old eating habits. They go back to
the toxic relationships,
right.
the toxic job.
Right. Everything has to change. And look, I'm still changing myself. Nobody's perfect.
No, it's a journey till the end, right?
We are on a journey. It is a journey, and it's a long journey. It's a marathon. And once you have cancer, you are then dealing with everything that cancer brought into your life for the rest of your life.
Mm-hmm. I love what you said about not going back, because you really do need a full overhaul. People that, I'm fascinated and obsessed with spontaneous healing stories, and people that are sent home to die, and their Western medicine doctors are like, there's nothing else we can do.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden there's all these people still around 25 years later.
Yeah.
And what did they do? We should be studying them. And there are people that are studying them. Anyone listening to this, I highly recommend looking into Kelly Turner's work, Radical Remission Research, and also Dr. Jeffrey Rediger's book, Cured, where he studied a bunch of the science of spontaneous healing, many people healing from incurable chronic conditions.
I did all those things in that book, by the way.
Yes. So, exactly.
Yeah.
Key factors, and they work. So you needed this full overhaul of your life. And so we're so conditioned to believe that cancer is a death sentence. And to change that conditioning is near impossible. But I'd like to kind of up-level and update the software of that belief system and say, yes, cancer is a death sentence. Someone has to die. And the person that's going to die is your old self.
Oh, that's so good. I just got chills.
So let there be a death, and then let there be a birth of you, the real you, the you that's supposed to be an artist because you've been painting a lot more. You're a brilliant, talented artist. And not to say you still can't own your own business and work a semi-stressful job, but to be reminded that you have these gifts and talents within you that you may have kind of tucked away or put under the rug, or because of life took over.
The biggest lesson, and this is what I wanted to say to everyone: please don't need cancer to get this lesson.
Yes.
Don't call this in the way I called it in. Is I now make every decision based on how I'm going to feel about it on my last day, whenever that day is. How am I going to feel about this on my last day? Am I going to regret that I did this? or am I going to be happy that I did this? Am I going to be like, yes, I'm so glad I made that decision? And it's a really easy barometer, right? Am I going to be happy on my last day that I worked, 16-hour days every day for the rest of my life? No. It just makes everything very clear. And so I just said, I wish you would think about that. Think about your last day. And how is that decision going to be? And is this that important? Like, does it really need this much attention and this much angst?
Stress,
yeah. Like, life is so amazing. And again, like, I don't want to be all like flowers and rainbows. Like, cry like as hard as you can and like yell and scream and stomp and get it all out, and then look at the tree.
Thank you for listening to the Heal Podcast. Be sure to tune in for more empowering wisdom and inspiring healing stories. Oh, and make sure you hit the follow button on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts so you don't miss that one episode that holds the answer you've been searching for. And if you feel inspired, we would love you to rate and review us so that we have the opportunity to reach more people. And of course, you can follow us on Instagram for some behind-the-scenes fun and more inspiration at @HealDocumentary and @KellyGorris. Thank you so much, and be well.